Hey, gossips. Welcome back to the Daily Gossip, your one-stop shop for all the tea that Inapos is too hot for the mainstream media to handle. Today, we're diving into a topic so spicy, it makes the latest celebrity breakup look like a lukewarm cup of chamomile. We are talking about the US-Israeli excursion in Iran, or as I like to call it, and quote, the most expensive imperial temper tantrum in history. And quote, grab your popcorn and maybe your life savings because things are getting messy. So, Steve Clemons had this little chat with economist Richard Wolff, and let me tell you, it was a doozy. It was like watching someone dissect a train wreck in slow motion, except the train is the US economy, and the conductor is, well, let Inapos just say they Inapos. Easily distracted by shiny things like aircraft carriers. The whole premise is this: are we dragging the world into an economic meltdown? Spoiler alert. Yes, we are. Let's set the scene. We've got Iran and the US staring each other down, waiting to see who blinks first. Meanwhile, the rest of us are caught in the crossfire, watching our bank accounts shrink faster than a wool sweater in the dryer. It Inapos. It's not just the direct costs, the tens of billions of dollars blown on bombs or the hundreds of billions in damage over there. Oh no, it's the fun little extras like the 50% markup at the gas pump. Because nothing says, and quote, freedom, and quote, like paying double to fuel up your Honda Civic. And Don and Apos. Worry, the fun is global. Flights canceled? Check. Schools shortened? You bet. Factories shutting down because workers have no income? That's just the cherry on top of this economic sundae. The financial fallout is spreading faster than a rumor at a high school reunion. But wait, it gets better. Enter Richard Wolff, our resident academic buzzkill, and I mean that in the best way possible. This guy, Professor Emeritus of Economics, comes in and drops a bomb bigger than anything the military has in its arsenal. He doesn't Inapos just talk about the war, he zoom outs to the, in quote, biggest picture, in quote, he can offer. And that picture? It's a portrait of an empire in its twilight years. That's right, folks. According to Wolff, we are witnessing the decline of the American empire. It Inapos. It's like watching the season finale of a really long, really expensive reality show. He compares us to the British Empire. Remember them? They dominated the 18th and 19th centuries, then passed the baton to us after World War II, mostly because everyone else had blown themselves up. We were the last ones standing, feeling pretty smug about our 750 military bases and the shiny new global currency we called the dollar. But here's the kicker. Wolff says our leaders made a teeny tiny mistake. They thought it was permanent. They bought their own hype. They thought the post-World War II dominance was a forever deal. Newsflash, politicians. Nothing lasts forever, not even your approval ratings. So, instead of adapting to reality like the rise of China, Russia, India, Brazil, the BRICS squad, our leaders decided to double down on denial. They're like that one friend who refuses to accept that low-rise jeans are out of style, stubbornly squeezing into them while the rest of the world has moved on to comfortable mom jeans. The result? End quote. Catastrophic mistakes, end quote. As Wolff puts it, wars lost left and right: Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine, and now the piece de resistance, Iran. And this Iran situation is apparently a spectacular failure. The war has been a dud since day one, with majority of Americans against it. It Inapos. It's almost impressive how quickly it went downhill. It Inapos. It's like trying to host a massive party, but no one wants to come, the food is burnt, and you accidentally set the curtains on fire. But the host, our leadership, is still running around yelling, and quote, ISN Inapos? This great, and quote. Now, Clemons, bless his heart, tries to play devil's advocate. He's like, and quote, but wait, what about our muscled-up posture? What about grabbing Venezuelan presidents and threatening NATO allies? Doesn't Inapos that look tough? And quote. Wolff's response is basically a masterclass in reading someone to filth. He tells Clemons he's not wrong, but he's just observing the handiwork of our, end quote, public relations government. End quote. That's right, folks. We are running an empire on vibes and marketing. We invented modern advertising, and now we're using it to convince the world and ourselves that we're still the undisputed heavyweight champion, even while we and Oppos, re-gasping for breath in the corner. It's all an illusion. A very expensive, very dangerous illusion. We're desperate to hold on. The decline is happening, and the Iran war is just the neon sign pointing it out. Think about it. A nation of 90 million, Iran, holding off the combined might of the US and Israel, 350 million. It's David and Goliath, except Goliath is broke and his armor is held together with duct tape and bad PR. And you better believe the rest of the world is taking notes. Then Clemens pulls out this gem, a document from the Trump administration in 2025 saying the US is done with the Middle East dominating its foreign policy. He's like, end quote, see, we were walking away from empire, end quote. Wolff laughs in the face of this document. He translates the political jargon into plain English, end quote. We want the benefits of empire without paying the costs, end quote. It's the ultimate freeloader fantasy. We want the oil, the global influence, the dollar dominance, but we Don and Oppos want to actually do the dirty work or foot the bill. And how have we been paying for our little foreign adventures? With borrowed money, often from the very countries we consider our adversaries, like China. It's like borrowing money from your nemesis to buy a flashy car to try and impress them. It's absurd. And the idea that we can just walk away from the Middle East while leaving a trail of, end quote, steaming wrecks, end quote, Wolff's words, not mine, is pure delusion. We aren't and Oppos in charge anymore, and the neighbors are definitely talking. Instead of facing reality, maybe trying to coexist with a rising China, what do? We double down on the aggression. We declare them our adversary. It and Oppos, the, end quote, wild gesticulations of a sinking enterprise, end quote, we're thrashing in the water pretending we and Oppos, just doing a really aggressive butterfly stroke. Wolff even brings up the fact that we've apparently been out hunting small groups of fishermen in the Caribbean and Latin America. No trial, no jury, just summary execution. It's the kind of unhinged behavior you expect from a movie villain, not a global superpower. As Wolff says, end quote, this is the behavior of a system that is in deep trouble and doesn't in Oppos want you quite to understand it. End quote. Speaking of trouble, let's talk about the money. The defense budget request? A cool $1.5 trillion. A proposed $600 billion increase on a $900 billion base. That's a 2/3 increase in 1 year. It's insane. It's the financial equivalent of a midlife crisis where you buy a tank instead of a sports car. And why? To fight off an imminent threat? No. Just for, end quote, showmanship, end quote, to have more aircraft carriers than the other guy. It's a geopolitical measuring contest, and we're paying for it with the change we find in our couch cushions. Meanwhile, back home, the government is trying to sell us on this, end quote, go-go economy, end quote, because the stock market is high. But hold the phone. Wolff drops a truth bomb that should make everyone pause. The richest 10% of Americans own 80% of the stocks. So when the market is up, it and Oppos great for the yacht owners but utterly irrelevant for the rest of us. Why is the market doing well, anyway? Because the Federal Reserve has been pumping money into the economy like it's a deflating bouncy castle. But that money didn't in Oppos go into our pockets. It went into the stock market. We get the terrible inflation, they get the dividends. It's a fantastic system if you happen to be a billionaire. The reality on the ground is grim. Credit card debt is surging. Why? Not because we and Oppos feeling confident, but because we and Oppos broke. Americans Haven and Oppos recovered from the pandemic. Prices are up, incomes are flat. We are maxing out our plastic just to buy groceries. Even the CEO of McDonald's is rolling out cheaper meals. His exact words? End quote, Americans have run out of money. End quote. When the guy selling the McDouble realizes we're tapped out, you know things are bad. The big food producers are facing a, end quote, catastrophe of mass inability to buy enough food. End quote. Let that sink in. So we have a country splitting at the seams. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the public is getting bitter. We're deeply divided, angry, and looking for scapegoats. And in the midst of this domestic dumpster fire, our leaders thought, end quote, hey, you know what would fix this? A massive, For context, the entire COVID pandemic knocked off 3 points. This ISN and Oppos, TA minor hiccup, it and Oppos, S a massive self-inflicted wound. We pulled the trigger and quote, casually and quote, without thinking about the mess it would make. And now we're all paying the price. Because shocker, violent conflicts are messy, unpredictable, and really, really expensive. So there you have it, gossips. We and Oppos. Reliving in a declining empire that's maxed out its credit cards, picking fights it can and Oppos. T-win, and trying to cover it all up with slick marketing while the citizens can barely afford a Happy Meal. But hey, at least the stock market is doing great for that top 10%. Keep smiling, keep swiping those credit cards, and Don and Oppos. T look behind the curtain. Until next time, stay thirsty for the truth.